We're just getting a statement from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps saying that it has hit the U.S. Ain al-Assad air base in Iraq with what they describe as tens of missiles. This, according to Press TV, an urgent banner on Iranian television. Arwa Damon is in Baghdad for us. What are you hearing over there, Arwa?
Well, what we do have from one Sunni paramilitary commander who is based not too far away from al-Assad itself is that 10 rockets were fired. We don't know at this stage if any casualties were caused. According to this source, the barrage that he had been hearing has ended. But as I was saying, we don't know at this stage if there were any casualties. It's worth noting, Wolf, that al-Assad air base does not just house U.S. forces. It's a massive, sprawling complex in Al-Anbar province, where you also have the presence of the Iraqi security forces themselves. Also worth noting that this is a location that has been hit in the past, but it is potentially one of the targets that would be on a target list for the Iranians, not just in the sense of what they're able to fire at it in the way that they're saying that they have, but also because of the presence of these Iranian-backed paramilitary forces here. The U.S. military has, if you'll remember, suspended its anti-ISIS operations and its training missions because they wanted to be focusing on force protection. These types of attacks, even though they did take place in the past, though not necessarily in this kind of an intensity or under these kinds of circumstances with the significantly heightened tensions that are taking place right now. It's too soon to tell if this is the beginning of something bigger or if this is just perhaps the testing of the waters to see what kind of a reaction there will be. But most certainly, we have been hearing over the last few nights various different reports of mortars being fired towards the Green Zone, for example, of mortars being fired towards Al-Balad Air Base. That took place a few nights ago. Those landed just at the southern gate of the base. And so we have been seeing a slight uptick in activity over the last few nights, but again, it was just a few rockets or mortars here and there. No significant reports of casualties in any of those attacks, and we're waiting to try and get more information as to where exactly inside al-Assad air base these rockets may have hit and if there were any casualties caused by them.
Well, this could be the start of the Iranian retaliation for the killing of the Iraqi General Qasem Soleimani. Barbara Starr is over at the Pentagon. Barbara, you heard the breaking news. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has issued a formal statement saying it has hit the U.S. Ain al-Assad air base in Iraq with tens of missiles. What are you hearing from your sources at the Pentagon?
I have to tell you, Wolf, at this hour, officials are behind closed doors. We believe they are on classified conference calls between Washington and Baghdad, trying to determine exactly what has happened, complicated by the fact that the Pentagon shut down early today because of what was supposed to be a major snowstorm. So it's very tough at this hour to get information. But there's several things that frame the discussion right now. If these are rockets, that may be one set of circumstances. Those are relatively short range, generally fired by Iranian-supported groups inside of Iraq. But if, in fact, this does turn out to be some kind of attack at multiple locations, we don't know that yet. If it turns out to be short-range ballistic missiles or cruise missiles, we do not know that yet either. That is a significant ramp up by Iranian forces and, in fact, the Iranian regime. So that is what we are looking for. What kind of weapons have been fired? Who fired them? And how many bases in Iraq did they fire against? This has been the concern, that the Iranian regime would engage in that kind of retaliation. And right now, what you have to remember is this is essentially U.S. forces under attack inside Iraq. So you have military families obviously desperately concerned for information about their loved ones. You have the military here in Washington trying to figure out exactly what is happening so many thousands of miles away. It is going to be very important, one can think, for the Trump administration to come out and talk to the American people about what may be happening. We are not getting that at this hour. And of course, it's the middle of the night in Baghdad, and they are dealing with whatever they're dealing with. So we have to really pursue this, Wolf. The real question tonight is, I think, how far has Iran gone in firing weapons against U.S. forces? And right now, we don't have a firm answer to that very critical question.